Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It has been a minute since I posted and I am so sorry about that. But again, my life is getting a little bit more chaotic. Started a new job and going back to my last semester of school finally. So with all of that going on, it's just been really chaotic and trying to manage my time and get back into a steady routine has been a little difficult, but I am trying to get back to submitting a video twice a week. I'm going for Tuesdays and Thursdays. We'll see if that works out, but that's the goal. So thank you guys for bearing with me. In the meantime, today's video, I just want to sit down and chat with you guys and get ready. When I did my last haul, I asked if you guys wanted to hear about my story when I worked at Victoria's Secret when I was in college, because I kind of did it illegally. So we'll talk about that and a few other things. So make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss out on my future videos, and you'll get notified if you hit that notification bell, just until I can kind of get into a steady upload. That way you guys don't miss anything. But without further ado, let's get into the makeup. Alright, so we're starting from primer and working way up. Not really going to talk too much about the products I'm using because that's not the point of the video. I am using a couple new products though, so I'm a little excited to test those out. But again, that's the point of the video. So yeah, story time. So what you guys kind of again want to hear a little bit about the time when I worked at Victoria's Secret. So as you guys probably know, Victoria's Secret has their own like credit cards, and I'm pretty sure that's why. By the way, the story is not as exciting as it probably sounds. So when was first in college, I graduated high school a year early. I graduated when I was 17. Well, technically I was 16, but by the time I started my freshman year, I was 17 years old. So I was younger than most people. You know, normally when you're going off to college, you're 18 or so, legally an adult. Which is actually kind of embarrassing, because when I went to freshman orientation to get my student ID, my mom had to go with me because legally I couldn't get one by myself yet. Like, my mom had to go with me to orientation and go through all that stuff to make sure I had permission from my legal guardians and my parents, since I wasn't of age yet. So that was its own fun story. But so I started out at 17. My first semester, I didn't really want to work too much because I was just kind of getting used to the college feel. Where I was a good 3 hours away, so it was still in state, but it was 3 hours away from my family. It was long, you know, the furthest away I had been from them, really, permanently, you know, living away from them or anything like that. So first semester, just trying to get used to the whole feeling and all that good fun stuff. And then my second semester after Christmas break, I was like, you know what, okay, I think I've got a feel for things. I know how my classes are gonna go, so I'm gonna try to get a job. And my roommate at the time was 18, and she started working for different retail companies her first semester. She started working like right off the bat. And she was working for Victoria's Secret, and she was very, very shortly, and then she ended up working somewhere else. I don't know. But anyway, so she was like, you should go work there. They're hiring for sales associates. You would be great. It's a great first job. They have flexible hours. They're doing part-time, so it would just be in the evening, you know, wouldn't conflict with your school schedule. And I was like, you know what, it's a good idea. It's just part-time, it's just sales visit, nothing too complicated. My only other job at that point was as a hostess for a like mom and pop like pizza shop, which did not mean to make that rhyme. But so I was like, okay, it won't be too hard. So I went in and filled out the application, because this was before everything was online. And when I went in, they kind of were like, oh, well, we're actually having, we can do an interview for you tomorrow if you want. I was like, oh, okay, you know. I was like, oh, I don't even know if I have anything. So I went and walked around and, you know, finally got some stuff. But I went back the next day. It was actually a little embarrassing because this mom and pop pizza shop was so disorganized, and they treated their employees like so crappy that when they tried to do like a reference check on me at the time, they were like, they didn't even remember who I was. And I was like, it's a great start. It's a great start when the previous job I worked at, they couldn't even like remember who I was. But they hired me anyway. And so you have to go through this whole training process on how to learn like how to size people and sell credit cards and all this stuff. And they were like, well, you know, you really could get your own card, and, you know, that would help you learn the perks of it and all that. They didn't try to force you, and I'm just sitting there thinking, well, considering I'm 17, because my birthday's not until May, so I went through literally my entire first semester as a 17-year-old, not an 18-year-old. I can't. I can't really get one, but I kept my mouth shut, and I just was like, oh, no, I'm just not going to get one right now. I'll learn the ropes and all that, because they do talk to you about selling their card and how to talk to them about it and talk to the perks. And you do get certain like little rewards, or this was then, I don't know about now, but that was then, for getting people to sign them up and all that stuff. So I was like, you know, I'll just kind of learn that way. I'm not going to go to and get my own, and even if I did, that's probably not like the best first card to have, you know. But at one point they were having this like contest that was around, it was like right before Mother's Day, so it was in May. It was like right before my birthday. So I'd been working there a couple months trying to learn the ropes, and everybody seemed like so much older than me, and nobody really like commented on it, like really, because you know, you can't really, but a couple people were like, you look young. But I was just kind of was like, yeah, I'm young, you know. I didn't think it was a big deal. They knew I was in college. It's one of my first real jobs, but I also have like a baby face, or I especially did then. I've gotten closer to my age now, of course, that I don't want it to, but especially then I had a really baby face, so I looked way younger than I actually was. But so people are kind of questioning, and at one point they were in this competition and about the cards, and if you signed so many people up and you knew so many answers to this quiz, you would get this like little gift bag that had one of their perfumes in it, and it was this cute little bag, and different perfumes, you could choose your own. And everybody was like, oh, I'm gonna sign up for a card, so that'll help me towards my goal. And we were all having this meeting around, like, so all the sales associates, the managers and everything were in this meeting we were talking about, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna do it. And I was like, oh, well, I can't. And the store manager, who was not the one that actually hired me, it was the assistant manager who hired me, who saw like my application, my birth date and all of that, she was like, wait, why? By the way, pause. One of the new products I'm using finally is the Urban Decay Born to Run palette. I'm so excited. You guys saw that I got this in the haul. If you didn't, I'll link that video below. It's been out forever, and I've been wanting it forever, so finally, oh, I'm so excited to try it. I'm so excited. This is like the one palette I've been wanting for so long, and finally got it. Anyway, back to the story. So she was like, well, why not? And I was like, oh, well, you know, I can't yet. And everybody's like, shh, 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 because by then other people had figured out that, you know, wasn't 18 and couldn't. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? And the store manager's like, oh, well, she's like, well, oh, you know, if you have bad credit, don't worry, like that, it's okay. Or if you don't have any credit because you're so young, it's okay. You know, we're pretty flexible with who gets approved, and it might be a good way to start building your credit and all that. So she's like selling me on this, and I was like, oh, well, no, I just like I can't yet. And I was like, you know, I'm not 18. And she kind of just like stared at me, and the assistant manager does this like freeze face, like feels so guilty. And they pull me aside afterwards, well, before the store manager does, but the assistant manager pulled me aside afterwards, and they're like, yeah, you have to be 18 years or older to work here. And I was like, oh, I had no idea that you had to be there 18 years or older. Like, so technically I was working there illegally, and so I got pulled in the back after this meeting as everybody else is trying to like get ready to start the day. It was in the morning, it was on the weekend. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I started like panicking, you guys, because I didn't want to be fired over that. I'm like, well, I'm going to be 18 in like a week. And so they kind of let it go, but I think I got the assistant manager really in trouble, and I don't know, I felt so bad. And I ended up working there, and I ended up leaving, actually, ironically, before my birthday, because the semester ended like right before then, even though I was like, please leave me on, and I actually probably should have let them let me go, considering I wasn't going to be there. But I really just wanted to stay on so bad, because I actually liked the job. I mean, yes, you had to dress all in black, and you had kind of weird hours, and you basically spent your entire day either trying to sell bras or fit people or restack bras and underwear to make them look pretty because they get so disheveled so easily. But I enjoyed the job. It was a good, in my opinion, I'd call that my first job, even though it wasn't. And I just felt so bad because I think I really got the assistant manager in trouble because I don't think she worked there when I went back next semester. It's like, well, hopefully that was on her own decision. It wasn't because of me, but yeah. So that's my story. That's me working. It wasn't anything like crazy. It wasn't like an illegal alien or anything like that. I just wasn't of age, and I'm pretty sure you have to be of age simply because of the selling of the credit card. I'm pretty sure that's why, but I don't know, because I've also worked for various other retail stores, like, or maybe it's like the subject matter, like, you know, some of the things are pretty risque. They want you to be 18 years or older if you're going to be talking about selling some of these things to people who are going to buy some of these little more risque products. But regardless, I worked out, and I didn't end up working there when I got back. I worked for Aeropostale when I went home for the summer, and then I came back and worked for another retail company, and yada yada yada. So yeah, again, it wasn't like crazy. I didn't get in crazy trouble. It wasn't like outlandish, but it was still kind of like this just like most shocking moment that I had been working illegally for a company for like 5 months without knowing. But after that, well, I guess I was like, oh, I'll start talking as I put mascara on. That is never a good idea. So, one second. The other product that's new to me is this one. This is the Makeup Revolution Brow Pomade. So, curious to try them. I like Makeup Revolution a lot, and I'm going to be doing probably the next video a full face using their products just to kind of show the versatility of them. So, pretty excited to try this puppy out. But yeah, so that was kind of probably the most crazy like working experience I've ever had. I think other than that, it's been the usual. I worked again in retail for a while. I worked there, and then when I went back home, like I said, I worked at Aeropostale, and I went and worked there periodically throughout the holidays and stuff, so technically I worked there for a couple of years, even though it wasn't steady. I worked at Claire's, which, if you guys want to know, is not a super fun job. I was like a third key manager at Claire's, so I was basically a part-time manager that had a key, and it kind of really stunk because the way the job is, if you work in the morning, you're by yourself for most of the day. So if you have to pee or anything like that, you're by yourself. And it's a store where theft is so easy to have happen because you have so many little things. And there's mirrors everywhere, especially up top, and you've got your cameras and all that, but it's still really difficult. This is really nice. And so that job sucked, plus we had like physical inventory, so you'd be up like all night a couple times a year inventorying every tiny little thing there, and you would help the girls at icing as well because they were, you know, their sister stores. And you know, you'd have to pierce ears, which normally wasn't that bad. Like when they're like 4 or 5 or older and like they know that that's what they want to do, it's not so bad. Sometimes they chicken out and you're just like whatever, but it's not really too bad because they kind of can like brace themselves and hold, and they understand what's happening. Also, when they're babies, it's not that bad because they're so tiny they can't really do much. But it's that like toddler age that it really stinks to pierce ears because parents are like afraid to hold their kids because you have to like hold them on their head so they don't wiggle, and you have to like brace their bodies like this so they again don't wiggle, and most parents are afraid to like really hold them, so they're like they can kick and they can squirm and they can bite you unless you have 2 people at once, which you don't often have. It's really hard to get them even and perfect and all of that. So you know, just FYI, parents either have them when they're babies or when they're old enough to make a choice. Just saying. Anyway, yeah, so that was a fun, not so fun job. I only worked that for a little bit, and then I started working at Maurice's, which is a clothing store. I've done a couple hauls from them. I loved working there. That was when I really started getting into like fashion and makeup and all of that stuff because I loved working in that environment. I put on the Fenty liquid lipstick, but it's almost a little too like cool tone for this eye look, so I'm gonna let it dry and put one of these Laura Geller pencils, lip crayons over it. You know what I mean? This isn't Love Me Do Lip, and this was unbuttoned. And this was uncuffed. But I really liked working at Maurice's, except for like my boss was really like tough because she was so good and she expected so much. Our store was like the #1 store in our region, but because of that there was a lot of pressure. But that job made me so good at like getting to know people and trying to sell them things, and not like sell like push, but like really find out what they like and what works for them and make them happy, and not just push product because it's there. It helped me learn about how to, you know, get people to apply for a credit card, and Victoria's Secret did too, but it wasn't expected as much, and I was also more afraid to, and I just never did as well, especially because I didn't have a card yet. I didn't understand it, as I said, until I got it on my lip just now. I wasn't old enough to, and I think that was probably one of my absolute favorite jobs I ever had. The hours kind of stunk, and they expected a lot from me because I was good at the job. They wanted more hours out of me even though I was going to school at the time. But overall, like, I think that was one of my favorite jobs, period. And I worked all the others legally, by the way. Just to be upfront, I was very careful going forward to make sure I knew what I was getting into. So yeah, that is my story time. Thanks for hanging out with me and getting ready with me, guys. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to sit with me and do our makeup together, or watching me do my makeup or whatsoever, and talk to you about my past work experience. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comment section what you thought, if you've ever had experiences like that, you know, any of that good fun stuff. But until I get more videos out for you guys, again, I should be trying to do that twice a week, so bear with me while I get my routine down. But until I get any more videos out for you guys, as always, I hope you have a wonderful day.